The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
More chaos and anarchy and vandalism and violence reigns, the better it is for the very clear choice on who's best on public safety.
Caravan of vehicles flying Trump flags as they pulled into the city's downtown.
That the more chaos and anarchy and vandalism and violence reigns, the better it is that the more chaos and anarchy and vandalism and violence reigns, the better it is.
Oh! There's your question. Are you safer now than you were 4 years ago? Answer, no. Absolutely no. We're not safer. We're not safer. We're not healthier. We're not more economically predisposed. The food banks are operating on a scale that this country hasn't seen since, like, never. This is unbelievable. So last night we were treated to that copsucker, Bill Barr. Yeah, copsucker. That's what he is. Making excuses for the systemic racism that is obviously present inside of police forces and sheriff's departments and ICE and Border Patrol. I mean, we have gone over this. There are so many of his own DOJ documents. There are so many of this administration's own DHS documents that document the infiltration of the police forces, of the sheriff's departments, of the ICE and Border Patrol units with white supremacists and secret societies and guys with freaking Nazi tattoos. And Bill Barr is covering for them and for the president, giving them free rein to do as much violence as they want to in this country. It was bizarre yesterday, okay? The question started with the president threatening Bill Barr, saying, Bill Barr, I'm not even going to play it because you've heard it. Bill Barr could go down as one of the greatest attorney generals in the history of the United States, or just be another guy. This was Donald Trump signaling to Bill Barr that he wanted Bill Barr to lie for him, to cover for him, to, be a copsucker for him, and to ignore the systemic racism that is present in our justice system. Bill Barr denied yesterday. He said, well, I don't feel any pressure. I don't feel any pressure. That was his answer. But he was asked about this crazy Facebook, garbage troll thing to do, having to do with thugs on a plane. He couldn't explain it. He didn't know what the president was talking about. But he said, it's real. It's so bizarre.
In an interview this week, the president claimed that he heard about a plane, in his words, loaded with thugs wearing dark uniforms from a certain city that was headed to the Republican National Convention here in Washington, in his words, to do big damage. He didn't offer any specifics. He later, the next day, changed the story. The plane wasn't coming to Washington, was leaving Washington. Have you asked the FBI to investigate this?
I don't have to ask the FBI because we received numerous reports of individuals coming from Portland, Washington, Seattle, and several other cities to come into Washington for the specific purpose of causing a riot.
Were they wearing black uniforms and were they loaded, if you will?
There were many on planes. We've received multiple reports on this topic.
And so what the president was talking about was information that you provided the president?
I don't know.
Oh, what happened? Oh, man. Is this going to be all day? I don't know. There is no evidence for thugs on a plane.
We've also seen, the president talk recently in the last few days about people clad in black trying to fly into Kenosha and other localities to carry out violence. And I was stunned to see the Attorney General sort of try to hang some measure of truth to what the president seemed to be passing on, which was a conspiracy theory that has been living on Facebook. I don't know that even inside the Justice Department or the FBI, people have the evidence to back this up. The Attorney General sort of was trying to grasp at straws to try to make that true. And that's part of the problem, Wolf, with the Attorney General and why he's perceived in the way he is. He's very defensive when people accuse him of trying to defend the president, being there simply for the sake of the president. And it's incidents like what we just saw today that make people make that accusation. And I think that's one of the problems for this Attorney General.
It is one of the problems for this Attorney General. This Attorney General lies a lot, even for a lawyer. He lies a lot. He actually lies a lot for anybody. He lies a lot. And so does Donald Trump lie a lot. And so does Mike Pence lie a lot. And Sir lie a lot. I'm just so sick of it. I picture there are internet scam artists who are like, hey, Barr, hey, Trump, you stole our gig. We're supposed to be looking for the dupes. I'm sure there's televangelists that say, oh, my God, they've cornered the market on bullcrap. I thought that was our arena. I thought that's what we operated for. I mean, this is just so bizarre. Just so bizarre. Maybe when we swear in, I've said this for how many years now? When I say it, you'll go, you know what, Rand, you did. You said this. I want all public officials to take an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help them God, when they are using their official office to speak to the American people. If every single public servant, every congressman, every senator, every president, vice president, attorney general, DHS secretary, and on, would be sworn to tell the truth, not in their normal lives. They could lie to their wives for all I care. They could lie to their kids. They can lie to their friends. They can, misrepresent, whether or not they're buying this vacation home. I don't care. But if they're using their official office to discuss, speak to, or explain anything to the American people, they must be under oath. You know how many of our problems would be solved? Do you have any idea? Bill Barr sat there and lied through this entire interview. He said there is no systemic racism. There aren't two systems of justice. No. If you really want to parse it, there are more than two systems of justice in this country. You got your system for the rich, like Donald Trump, who sues everybody into submission because they can't afford to answer all these lawsuits that he files against people that just want to get paid. You've got the system for the rich. You've got the system for white guys. And you got a system for everybody else. And we all know it. We all freaking know it. Black people are stopped all the time for things white people are never, ever even looked at for. It happens all the time. Black men are being shot unarmed in some places like California. This is one of the most notorious places. 5 times more often than white people, unarmed black people. And Bill Barr is saying that's not true. It isn't happening. And there is no systemic racism in our system. Meanwhile, I got a video that is so painful to watch. There's a man who is dead now, his name is Daniel Prude. Daniel Prude had some sort of mental break, okay? A mental break because he had lost a brother, then he had lost his mother, then he had lost another brother. And so he went to Rochester, New York to be closer to the one brother he had left. His own brother called the police for help because his brother had a break with reality and was running through the streets stark raving naked, which makes it easy to know he's unarmed. He's dead. The police literally hooded him, put a hood over his head, and suffocated him.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
I think the narrative that that the police are on some epidemic of shooting unarmed black men is simply a false narrative, and also the narrative that that's based on race. The fact of the matter is it's very rare for an unarmed African American to be shot by a white police officer.
I think it must be this administration's policy to deny all epidemics. COVID, people being treated differently by the police based on their skin. Just deny that it's just say no. It's they have a very terrible record. This administration does of lying about epidemics of white supremacists coming out of the woodwork, epidemics of virus, epidemics of police brutality. It's rare for an unarmed black man to be shot by a police officer, maybe because they've gone to the choking you out method of death, and Donald Trump loves to say choke, when talking about police officers. Maybe it's subliminal. I don't know. But this man is literally sitting there denying reality.
You've said you don't believe there's systemic racism in the justice in our justice system among the police. But you did say this. You did say, I do think it is a widespread phenomenon that African American males in particular are treated with extra suspicion and maybe not given the benefit of the doubt.
Oh!
But doesn't that sound like systemic racism?
No. To me, the word systemic means that that it's built into the institution. And I don't think that's true. I think our institutions have been reformed in the past 60 years, and if anything has been built in, it's a bias to non-discrimination and safeguards against that. And so that's what I'm reacting to on systemic. And also, I think we have to be a little careful about throwing the idea of racism around. Racism usually means, that I believe that because of your race, you're a lesser human being than me. And I think there are people in the United States that feel that way, but I don't think it is as common as people suggest. And I think we have safeguards to ensure that it doesn't really have an effect.
We have safeguards, everybody, is what we have. All right, let's read The Guardian, okay? Incidents have reinvigorated demands for systemic reforms, with activists and victims' families calling for defunding and dismantling of one of America's most powerful local law enforcement agencies, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. This is just one department that I've been looking at, okay? Fueling their anger is a widening scandal surrounding gang members and white supremacists within the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department's own ranks. The rehiring of deputies accused of misconduct, Trumpian outbursts by sheriffs, and an exploding COVID-19 crisis in LASD, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department jails, and allegations that deputies are intimidating victims' families when they speak up. Jaylene Rhea, whose teenage brother was killed by a Los Angeles Sheriff's Department deputy last year, said, I know now our voices are being heard. Last year alone, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department has killed 6 people from May until today. 6 people from May. Now, he's sitting there saying, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen, okay? 18-year-old Paul Rhea was killed on June 27th. 2 deputies pulled over a car for running a stop sign. The officers accused the driver of being high on the marijuana and demanded he exit the car, and then threatened to kill him if he didn't comply. This is what the driver of the car, Rhea was a passenger, okay? So this kid, 18 years old, got scared. He broke free. He ran. And they fired rounds of shots, hitting him in the neck. The police lied in the police report. This kid was 5'2", just so you know, okay? The police said that it was self-defense, saying that this 18-year-old 5'2" kid punched the officer and was armed with a handgun. That was the official report of the killing. The district attorney looked at the surveillance video and did not see any struggle and did not show this kid, Rhea, punching the officer, nor did they ever see a gun pulled or even present in the situation. So they went back and they asked the sheriff's deputy, describe the gun. And the sheriff's deputy was unable to describe the gun. Know why? There was no gun. They run, kids do, not because they're guilty, but because they're terrified. They're scared. Black people are harassed by police, arbitrary stops, arbitrary searches, unjustified interrogations, hostile patrolling. In 2013, during the Obama administration, 18 sheriff's deputies, just in this one department, okay? 18 sheriff's deputies were implicated in the systemic beatings of people, and they were accused of collaborating with white supremacists. The top sheriff was put in prison for this. David Diaz, who is the great uncle of this 18-year-old kid who never had a gun, didn't pull a gun, didn't punch anybody, and is now dead. He said every man in his family was at one point arrested and booked by the local sheriff's station because they are trying to create some sort of record. They falsify police reports. They create some sort of a record so that you have a previous record next time they stop you and they could say, well, he had a record. He said at least 9 of his friends were killed by police. He says he doesn't know if this will ever end in his lifetime. A 31-year-old man whose friend was killed by deputies last year, his name is C.D. Mack. He said, I've grown numb to the police brutality. They throw me out of my car. They tear the whole car apart. They rip out my seats. They find nothing, but there's nothing I can do about it. The sheriff's station in the black part of South LA was the home to officers who had matching neo-Nazi gang tattoos. In 2018, they announced an investigation at the LA County Sheriff's Office, where such cliques were still operating. And they found that the Compton station had matching tattoos of skeletons holding a rifle, and an officer who fatally shot a black resident during a pursuit was a gang member of the group and admitted that he has bad feelings towards African Americans. They're also called the Jump Out Boys because they leave their car doors open so that they can jump out of their cars to beat people. No racism.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
You understand the conversations. This is when you were testifying before Congress that black parents have with their children about racism in this country. How do you think African American parents around the country explain to their kids what exactly happened to Jacob Blake, for example, and why that police officer had his knee on George Floyd's neck for almost 9 minutes?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to talk about the Blake case.
Why not?
Because I think it's different than the Floyd case.
What's different?
Well, Floyd was already subdued, incapacitated, in handcuffs, and was not armed. In the Jacob case, he was in the midst of committing a felony, and he was armed.
What?
So that's a big difference. From the standpoint,
his family says he wasn't armed.
Well, I think
there may have been a knife in the car, but he wasn't armed when he was shot.
Well,
that's what his family and his lawyer said.
I stated what I believe is to be the difference, and that's why I don't want.
Jacob Blake was not armed, and we know he wasn't armed because there's video of him trying to break up a fight between two girls, and he's unarmed. He's got 3 kids in the car. He's trying to celebrate his boy's 8th birthday, and he had his back to the police. He wasn't threatening them at all. We have eyewitnesses at the scene who also said he posed no threat to the officers. He never posed a threat to the officers. So why lie? Why lie? Why does every time we drill down into a case, one case of a black man being choked out like Eric Garner, we find out his big crime was selling individual cigarettes. That's what he was doing. He was selling, they used to call him in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, they used to call him Lucy's. That's why he's dead. He was selling Lucy's. He was selling an individual cigarette. That was his big crime. Ooh. You've got real criminals that are really, stealing, that are really, being traitors to this nation, taking help from foreign governments. They are, exploiting the presidency for their own profit. They flout the law on TV. Have a freaking Republican convention in violation of the Hatch Act, which, nobody cares about. But it happened right on TV. Nothing happens to them. But you sell a loose cigarette, you're a dead man. You try and break up a fight in your neighborhood, you're a dead man. You have a mental break with reality and your parents or your brother or some family member calls the police for help, you're a dead man. Okay, here's one. This is really disgusting. This is Daniel Prude. He is naked in this video. His brother, okay, let me just tell you. Daniel Prude had, earlier in this day where he ends up dead, his brother had asked for help for his other brother's mental illness. So they came and they evaluated Daniel Prude. He was gone for all of an hour. That was his big evaluation. And they sent him back to his brother's house. So he got no help. Later in the same day, about 3 o'clock in the morning, Daniel Prude went outside naked. And his brother, who had asked for help 8 hours earlier, called the police again and said, please, you have to help me. My brother is having a break with reality. He's outside. He's stark raving naked. He has a mental illness. Please help me. And this is how they helped.
Now give me the mace. Give me the mace. Give me the mace. On my mama blood, they flipping over in her grave.
They put a hood over his head.
Look, get the up. Give me that gun.
Are you on 5?
Give me that gun. Give me that gun, not me. All right. Take this off my face. Gun, not me.
You're gonna stay down.
All right. Take this off my face.
No, I got him. I'm already in it.
Trying to kill me. And Jesus came out of me.
Trying to kill me.
My flipping over like crying, man. No, God.
I'm naked. I'm not armed.
Stop. Calm down. Stop. Calm down. Calm down, okay?
He died. He's dead. They lied about this incident too. They said that he was threatening them, and he was naked. He was obviously unarmed. This is his brother, Joe, who had called the police for help twice in the same day, and the help that he got was they put a hood over his brother's head and smashed his face into the pavement, put their knees on his back until he was literally suffocated. When he was unresponsive, they called an ambulance. He was already dead. They called an ambulance. The ambulance came. They put him on life support in the hospital, and then he died. But they lied about what had happened, saying that he was dangerous to them. They felt threatened by him. He may have had a gun. He was naked.
Me in a push-up stance on my brother damn neck. How you sitting here with your knee in my brother damn back? When he's defenseless, he's got on no damn clothes. I mean, come on, let's keep it real. If you want to know the truth, the video footage gonna show the truth. And these people that study trying to cover this up, come on, man, let's stop this. Because if you don't stop it now, it's gonna be some more. And it's not gonna stop. I mean, what makes me lesser than the next man of this American society? It doesn't make me lesser than you because my skin is darker than yours, my melanin is better than yours. I don't care what it is. We all human. I'm not no animal. And that's what the f*** they treat my brother, like a damn animal.
There is no racism. There just isn't. You gonna believe your lion eyes, or you gonna believe copsucker Bill Barr? Those are your choices. Hey, since he's denying this is a pandemic of racism inside the police department, even though they keep documenting all these racist sheriffs and all these racist police officers and all this, stereotyping of people and all that, then maybe black people need to develop herd immunity. Maybe that's what's missing from this, herd immunity to bullets or to, being suffocated. Maybe I just gave away like the whole Lovecraft Country finale. I don't know. You watching that on HBO? Not yet. Are you going to binge?
I'm going to binge. I'm a binger. I'm going to binge the whole thing.
So you're so impatient. You can't wait a week. It used to be so fun to wait the week, and everybody was like, who killed JR? You had to wait.
For me, that's the test of a true masterpiece, when I absolutely can't wait. Like The Watchmen on HBO, and then now that's gone. Couldn't wait. Had to get it each week. But I'm going to wait for the Lovecraft.
Wow. Anyway, it doesn't exist. So everybody, breathe easy. Don't have the talk with your black sons about the fact that the police are going to stop them more often, search them more often, rip their cars apart while they have to be very polite and stand there and watch for no reason. Don't have the talk with your sons where you say, hey, listen, if you're, selling a loose cigarette and they choke you out, just know, son, there is no racism.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
After reviewing hundreds of police reports and court records from across the country, ABC News found more than 50 criminal cases where Donald Trump was explicitly invoked in relation to violent acts, threats, or alleged assaults.
The suspect yelled the word Trump as he hit the East African man.
Officials say that he followed her yelling Donald Trump when she tried to get away.
He threatened to kill 2 members of Congress. He says he made the calls because he was upset about the impeachment proceedings against President Trump.
ABC News searched for past cases similarly invoking Presidents Bush or Obama, but could not find one.
In order for something to be stated in a charging document, a criminal complaint, an indictment, or some other type of court record, there has to be substantive, concrete information that supports the information or the assertion provided in that court document.
Like from this incident at a gas station in Bellevue, Washington, when police say 56-year-old Kenneth Sharpie drove his truck toward 2 brothers, threatening to kill them for being Muslim. He then tries to explain his actions to a police officer.
I think I said, please get out of my country, because I don't like him here. And this is why I like Trump. And he's doing the same thing as I feel, wants him out of our country.
No racism. All right, Jim in Florida.
How you doing?
Hey.
Yeah, well, I was listening to kind of, it seems like you're kind of biased. I mean, it doesn't seem like you're really, telling the truth on a lot of things.
What?
I mean,
am I not truthful
one
about?
thing, let me ask you a question. Did we have all this racism when Obama was here?
We had racism. We've always had racism.
Okay,
but we have a president now that actually appeals to racists, that tells them it's cool to be racist.
Ridiculous.
No, there was some shame involved with being a racist when Obama was president, but they were still out there with signs of Obama dressed up as a witch doctor and a bone through his nose. We had birtherism, we had racism. Yes, we did. But we now have a president who is appealing to racism.
Well, actually, if you look at
he's literally telling the three presenters and the Proud Boys and that nothing will happen to them. You look at this situation with Jacob Blake in the same city, right, with Kyle Rittenhouse. So Jacob Blake is dead, and Kyle Rittenhouse is walking through the street with a long gun after he shot two people dead and blew the arm off of a third guy. And the police go, just go ahead, just go on, go ahead.
Well, I'd like for the full story to come out. I mean, you like to talk about
what is the full story of Kyle Rittenhouse?
No, well, I don't really know about him.
How do you not know? It's been all over. It's been all over media.
But remember, he went to his friend's house, got the gun. Then he went to the car dealer.
What are you talking about? A car dealer? No.
He went to. Yes, he did. He went and guarded. Yes, he did. And then
yeah.
the cops,
so a 17-year-old kid, kid illegally carries a long weapon, a long gun, an AR-15 style weapon over state lines to guard.
No, he didn't.
He did.
No, he did not. No, he did not. You're wrong.
I'm wrong. So he leaves. He leaves Kenosha. He leaves Kenosha, walking past all of these police officers. Walking past all these police officers who tell him it's okay. And earlier in the day, the police officers are offering him water. And the militia people are telling the news crews that the police had told the militia, we're going to send the protesters your way. You know what to do with them, and we're going to leave.
Well, I'm gonna wait for all the information to come out because it's under investigation before I'm gonna start talking about it, like everyone usually does, like the Michael Brown. I remember when Obama backed up Michael Brown, and we all knew what he did.
What did he do?
He went into the police officer's car, tried to grab the gun and shoot him. That's what he did. So he did, yeah, that's exactly what he did.
And Philando Castile, what did he do? What did Philando Castile do? What did Eric Garner do? What did George Floyd do? What did Laquan McDonald do?
Oh, I think that George Floyd was apprehensive. I mean, that was awful. When I saw that was disgusting, and I'm totally.
But sometimes police officers choke But sometimes police officers choke and they stand on your neck for 9 minutes. Sometimes when you're naked, they falsify a police report and they say that you were presenting some sort of a threat. Sometimes when you're an 18-year-old kid and you're a passenger in a car, they say you had a gun and you punched a police officer. Then the video comes out, and guess what? No scuffle at all, no gun. And then when the police officer is asked to describe the gun, he can't because there was no gun. So, what with Laquan McDonald? Police said Laquan McDonald lunged at them with a gun. And when you see the videotape, he's got his hands up and he's walking away. And he's dead.
Right. And there was one where the guy was running away.
And Trayvon Martin, what did he do? He had Skittles. Oh, my God. That's dangerous. And George Zimmerman, did George Zimmerman have any problem, getting off? No, he didn't.
Yeah, but you're talking minority. You're talking about 5 or 6 things. I can talk about millions.
These are the ones we know. What, Breonna Taylor? Breonna Taylor needed to die in her sleep? Really?
No, that was awful too.
Okay.
I denounced that too, but
you denounce it. You denounce it. And what do you think the cause of it is? Botham Jean. He's sitting in his living room eating ice cream. He's dead too. You denounce, and you think that's all you need to do to recognize that there's structural problems in our policing.
Well, let me ask you a question. Yeah. If African Americans only take up 16-17% of our population?
13.
Why is 50% of the population in jail?
Exactly, you're making my point.
Exactly. Well, that's where all the crime is. That's why they have.
That is not where all the crime is. Those are nonviolent drug crimes that you don't go to jail for. That I don't go to jail for. You want to be really honest with me? I'll be honest with you. Have you ever done cocaine? Have you ever done it? You ever smoked pot before it was legal? Did you go to jail for it?
No.
Me neither.
Just like when I speed, sometimes I don't get arrested for that.
Arrested? We don't even get pulled over. What's the matter with you? I haven't had a ticket in, 20 years?
Well, let me explain something. I live in Coral Springs, Florida, which is probably...
I live in Lake Worth. I used to live there, too.
Okay, well, there's probably 30,000 African Americans that live here, and there's only 44% white. We have no problem living together here.
How do you know? How do you know who's in jail in Coral Springs?
73, honey.
You have
That's
no
why.
idea who's been
And I'm
arrested
55. You're
in
only
Coral
61. What do you
Springs
think,
and
you're
for
like 20
what?
Years older than me?
You
Do you think you're 20 years older than me?
I'm not. I'm your
You're
age.
6 years older than me.
I'm your age, right? I'm exactly your age. I lived there too.
Right. And I've been here since '73 in this town, so I know what goes on in this town.
Do you realize that in 1973 we had in Belle Glade, Florida, which is just up the road from you, that we had black and white drinking fountains in 1973? Do you even know what you're talking about?
That's ridiculous. And
But
that's
it's
ridiculous.
true. So every time you see racism, I denounce it, but you won't accept that it exists.
Well. Here's my point. My point is,
there is
at a city-
racism,
listen,
and I'm
I know.
happy. I'm
Here's what-
happy
here,
that
Randy,
you denounce it.
Randy,
But
let me
unless
help.
you're interested in the structural solutions, okay,
Well,
okay,
let me ask you
all
a
right,
question.
all right. I'll do
Yeah,
it to you too. I'll just do it to
No.
you.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, you can change laws at a local level, then a state level. So first thing you
It's
should be
not
doing is talking to your
legal.
mayor, and
It's
then
not
your governor,
legal
not
to
saying
do half
Donald
of-
Trump needs to fix everything in this country. Give me a break.
I don't think Donald Trump
The
needs to
fucking country's
fix.
been broken.
Okay, you just cursed. Dump him. He said the effing country. No. What's going on here is you have an attorney general who is in charge of the Department of Justice, in charge of it, responsible for it, lying to you that there is no racism in police forces when demonstrably, clearly, obviously, statistically, video, every piece of evidence presented shows there's systemic racism, meaning black people are pulled over more. They come in contact with police much more for nothing. For nothing. For nothing. Sometimes they're just asleep in their beds. Sometimes they're eating ice cream on a couch. Sometimes they're selling a loose cigarette. That's not a death penalty crime, and yet they end up dead. And you denounce, but you will not work for a solution. Because it's always been that way. So it's not Donald Trump's problem. Well, when his attorney general is backing him up on the denouncement that there's something going on in police organizations that we are documenting, that we can track, that we can trace, that we can see, also in housing, also in healthcare, also in environmental situations, also in wealth creation, structural racism. But you don't want to hear the solutions or be part of the solution. You want to back Trump. It's inconsistent thinking, because it's only going to get worse under Donald Trump. Donald Trump encourages white supremacists. He protects them. He says there are fine people on the side of white nationalist Nazis that march on our street with tiki torches. He says they're fine. They're not fine.
Mary had a little lamb. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe it. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
This is Trump's America. He won't bring us together. He doesn't want to, and never will. He only divides, inflames, infuriates, and tears people apart, always making things worse. It's Trump's America. And it's time to turn the page.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Done. People defending this president who obviously started his campaign being a birther. That Obama was an illegitimate president. He was illegitimate. And then, came down the escalator and declared, without any evidence, that Mexicans are rapists and criminals. And then started, the whole campaign against Muslims, right? A Muslim ban. A ban on Muslims. As if there was some sort of a jihadist movement in this country. Well, there is, but they're white supremacists. Please spare me, Mr. Coral Springs, with your I don't see any racism and it's always been effed up. Yes, but some people actually work toward fixing, like stopping redlining and voter suppression and the disparities in healthcare, which are now completely self-evident if you look at the COVID deaths. What, black people somehow, they're predisposed to death because of a virus. It's the lack of access to insurance, the lack of access to health care. They're the first people to lose their jobs, the last people to be rehired for their jobs. There's discrimination in housing. There's discrimination in just about every nook and cranny of American life. And some people work to make it better, like, I don't know, the pressure of a name. John Lewis, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris. And, some people fan the flames because it's useful to have a divided country. It's useful for people to stay at each other's throats. It's useful to have somebody to blame, whether it's Jews will not replace us, or a Muslim ban, or Mexicans, now Central Americans. In 2018, there were caravans that were coming, right? And they were all paid for by George Soros, the Jewish guy. I mean, give me a freaking break with this stuff, okay? Holy crap. You think that, yes, 1992, Rodney King was beat up and Bill Clinton was president. But some Americans, when they were confronted with video like that, defended the police because he was speeding, And other people said that kind of brutality against a guy, no matter what he did, unless he was like a Las Vegas shooter killing 58 people out the window, that response is unnecessary. It's unwarranted. It's brutality. It's overkill. It's excessive. But not you. Not you. There's no desire to move forward. There's no desire to rid ourselves of this president who fans the flames of hatred and disorder and is lawless himself so that he can continue to be disordered and lawless. Great. Please don't vote, whatever you do. Mark in Pennsylvania.
Hi, Randy.
Hey, Mark.
I'm a vet. I get my medications through the post office in the mail. And I was asking wife the other day, I haven't seen my bill for my latest copay. And she checked our records, and she says the last one we made was in February, so there's two. So I've been spent a day and a half trying to find out what the deal was. And then at the end of the Tom Hartman show today, another vet on there got on and said what the deal is since COVID, they've quit sending out copay notices to anybody, which means if you don't get a notice, you got to go in and call up somebody and find out what you owe. He said on the 24th of every month you have to do that, and then go to the trouble of making out your check and sending it to where it's got to go. But I swear people are going to lose their VA health care if they don't make their payments, and they just cut them off if they have no idea what's going on.
Well, if you didn't get your meds since February, it's...
No. The meds come.
Oh, the copay.
I've gotten my meds.
I see.
But the bill for copay doesn't show up. And in most cases, if you don't pay for an extended period of time, they jack up what you owe for penalties. But at some point, they'll just drop you. They'll say you're not paying your copays. Sorry. And I'd heard nothing about this from anybody until today.
Yeah, I don't know about it either.
Well, that's why I wanted to put it out on your show to let vets know
Where do you
if
make
they've got
your
a problem.
Where do you make your copay to?
Well, the address they gave me when I got through today was going to Portland, Oregon.
No, I mean, is it an insurance carrier? What is it?
No, it's the VA. It's the VA.
Oh, it's the VA itself.
Yeah. Because otherwise, like I said, if the post office doesn't deliver them, I live close to Binghamton, New York. I'd have to drive to Syracuse to pick up my meds.
You can't do it online? The VA doesn't have a platform for you?
They do, but I'm not. I hadn't seen anything about this on it. And like I said, the way the guy talked on Tom Hartman, he was as shocked as I am.
Well, what I would do is I would call or whatever that number is in Portland and ask them, how do you do this online since you're not getting a bill and you want to be square, just so that you don't get hurt. I'll tell you another way people are going to get hurt really, really bad. As of September 1st, Donald Trump, decided that he was going to suspend the payroll tax for employees, right?
Well, that'll kill everybody.
It's just deferred. And so come the first of the year, when this deferral expires, everybody that doesn't have that 6% coming out of their paycheck is going to owe it. They're all going to owe it.
Yeah.
And so they're going to get hit with a real big bill. I'd hate to be the employer, that doesn't withhold the unemployment insurance, the payroll tax, and then come next year, I got to give you a paycheck. And all of that money that didn't come out between now and January is all of a sudden out of your check.
Yeah, and him trying to wipe that out would basically wipe out Social Security.
That's another issue, but that's why Congress will never make that permanent. They can't. We couldn't possibly afford it. We're in deficit spending right now that is clearly at World War II levels, okay? And that's and what we have to do is claw back that money from the billionaires and the corporate. They had their tax rate lowered from like 35 to 21%. I mean, they pay less than I do. It's sick.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's wrong. Omar in Virginia.
Randy, thank you so much for taking my call. Just to your point, I mean, that's a clear sign how Trump is trying to destroy Social Security. And why isn't the Democrat screaming out of their lungs, running ads?
Well, Joe Biden has put out ads about, that he's taking away your Social Security. There's no question. Yeah. And you have to think to yourself, like, what's in this for Trump? Like, okay, we understand that if Trump is not the president, he will die in prison. We get it. Okay, we know he's already an unindicted co-conspirator. We know Deutsche Bank. We know he inflates his assets for the purpose of loans and deflates them for the purpose of taxes. He's a fraud. He's a cheat. We get it. But why are the people that are still around him such sycophants? And I'm telling you, it's because and I've said this a million times, the last big tranche of money is the Social Security Trust Fund, and they want it. That's trillions of dollars, and they want it. They want that trust fund. Yeah, and the other one is Medicare, right? There's big tranches of money, and they're not done stealing. But only in chaos can they steal in this manner. Now, if you're 55 like my friend in Coral Springs, and you're looking forward to a nice retirement because you paid into Social Security your whole life, trust me, this stuff happens. When I joined the military, I had a GI Bill, and when Ronald Reagan became president and I got out, no GI Bill.
All things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
600,000 people could vote by absentee in this state.
I don't like that.
Are you confident in that system?
Well, they'll go out and they'll vote, and they're going to have to go and check their vote by going to the poll and voting that way, because if it tabulates, then they won't be able to do that. So let them send it in and let them go vote. And if their system's as good as they say it is, then obviously they won't be able to vote. If it isn't tabulated, they'll be able to vote. So that's the way it is, and that's what they should do. I don't like the idea of these unsolicited votes. I never did. It leads to a lot of problems. They've got 11 problems already on very small contests, so I'm not happy about it. At the same time, we're in court on a lot of it. We're going to see if it can be stopped. But send in your ballots, send them in strong, whether it's solicited or unsolicited. The absentees are fine. We have to work to get them. It means something. And you send them in, but you go to vote. And if they haven't counted it, you can vote. So that's the way I view it.
Okay, so that was yesterday in North Carolina and Wilmington. And the North Carolina Secretary of State had to put out a notice to people, please do not vote twice. It's illegal. It's illegal in the federal statutes. It's illegal in the state statutes. There is no place where voting twice is legal in this country. And yet we have a Attorney General of the United States who sat on the TV and said he had to check the state laws to see if it was illegal to vote twice.
Let them go vote.
And if the system is as good as they say it is, then obviously they won't be able to vote. It sounds like he's encouraging people to break the law and try to vote twice.
Well, I don't know exactly what he was saying, but it seems to me what he's saying is he's trying to make the point that the ability to monitor this system is not good. And if it was so good, if you tried to vote a second time, you would be caught if you voted in person.
That would be illegal if they did that. If somebody mailed in a ballot and then actually showed up to vote in person, that would be illegal.
I don't know what the law in the particular state says.
You can't vote twice.
Well, I don't know what the law in the particular state says and when that vote becomes final.
Is there any state that says you can vote twice?
Well, there's some, maybe that you can change your vote up to a particular time. I don't know what the law is, so I'm not going to offer.
He was saying test the system.
If you know what he's saying, why are you asking me what he's saying?
He doesn't believe in the mail-in voting. You're the Attorney General of the United States.
Why does you? Yeah.
I'm the Attorney General. The Attorney General of the United States ought to be reassuring Americans that their mail-in ballots will count. He ought to be doing that, but he's not. He's saying he has to check the law in North Carolina to see if you could vote twice. What a genius. What a freaking genius. Okay? It's federal law as well as state. States conduct their elections, but it is illegal in federal law to vote twice. And in every state and territory, it's illegal to vote twice. He has to check. He has to go check. And then when he's pressed on, no, the president was saying, go test the system. Go ahead and vote by mail, send them in strongly. He wasn't trying to make a point. He was specifically instructing people to violate the law. Actually, even encouraging someone to vote twice is a federal crime. So the president broke the law there, and the Attorney General of the United States refused to say that, and refused to acknowledge that he knows that, and refuses to say, don't worry, this is going to be fine. Instead, he then says that foreign governments, swear to God, are going to counterfeit ballots. Now, I just want you to understand this, okay? Because 50 states run 50 different types of election. 5 states totally by mail, as you know. Utah, very Republican state, mail. Hawaii, mail, right? Each and every precinct has a different ballot. Each and every precinct. So that's like granular, okay? Because my district is going to have my congressional race on it. And if you live 2 blocks away from me, because of the way they draw maps, you may be voting in a different district, so it's going to have different, right? The ballots are different in every single district across this nation. And if you understand that there's, 54 counties in California, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. There's hundreds of different ballots. Each of them are printed differently. They're on different paper, different formats. The local supervisor of elections is going to pick the ballot that you use. Hence the debacle in Palm Beach County in 2000, where it didn't happen anywhere else. The butterfly ballot. It didn't happen anywhere else because our supervisor of election, Teresa Lepore, selected that particular ballot for this particular county. But that did not stop Bill Barr from saying that foreign governments will counterfeit ballots, which is why you can't vote by mail.
You've said you were worried that a foreign country could send thousands of fake ballots to people, and it might be impossible to detect. What are you basing that on?
I'm basing that, as I've said repeatedly, I'm basing that on logic.
Pardon?
Logic.
Pardon?
But have you seen any evidence that a foreign country is trying to interfere in that way?
No, I'm saying people are concerned about foreign influence, and if we use a ballot system with the system that that states are just now trying to adopt, it does leave open the possibility of counterfeiting.
What? What are you basing that on? Logic. Pardon? Logic. Logic would tell you that if you were interfering in an election, the last place you would try to do that would be in individual districts. And that is what he is suggesting. Logic is telling him that. He was asked how many cases of fraud there are. He was told there wasn't any, and he insists that there is. He was asked how many cases. He had no idea.
10 years Attorney General of the United States, how many indictments have you brought against people committing voter fraud?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but
Oh,
several.
no?
I know of.
Like a handful?
I can't. I don't know.
Well, several doesn't sound like too many.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how many we have. I know there are a number of investigations right now, some very big ones.
There are none. In fact, Donald Trump set up a voter fraud commission, remember? Chris Kobach, Kansas. Found none. Found none. There was a case of ballot harvesting in North Carolina where the president was telling people to vote twice. But that was a Republican operative hired by a Republican candidate to go into black neighborhoods, poor black neighborhoods, and collect ballots from people after they filled them in for them. He got caught right away because you get caught. That's why people don't do it. That's why foreign governments, when they interfere, they do it on Facebook. They do it on Twitter. They don't do it in districts by counterfeiting ballots that are different in every single solitary district across this nation.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
There are several states that only have mail-in voting, including a Republican
Well,
state
this
like
is
Utah.
playing with fire. This is playing with fire. We're a very closely divided country here. And if people have to have confidence in the results of the election and the legitimacy of the government, and people trying to change the rules to this methodology, which, as a matter of logic, is very open to fraud and coercion, is reckless and dangerous. And the people are playing with fire.
Yeah, that's very reassuring from the top, law enforcement official in the United States of America, the Attorney General of the United States. You know, voting by mail, you're playing with fire. You're playing with fire. We're not playing with fire, okay? Every single county has a supervisor of elections. Different paper, barcodes. Some have tracking information on your ballot. We do here. Some vote completely by mail and always have. And there is no widespread voter fraud in this country. Donald Trump keeps saying, 3 to 5 million people voted illegally without proof. Logic. It's logic. Something tells him he won. Something tells him he won. And Bill Barr swears by it. He lies and Bill Barr swears to it. This is really sick and scary. And that's why our democracy, the little democracy with the little d, it's on the brink. We are literally on the brink. We have to be aware and alert and ready to face this red mirage, because if people are going to vote by mail ballots don't get counted at the same time that the in-person ballots get counted. And so on election night, I keep telling you, it has a name now. It's called the Red Mirage, where we know that a larger percentage of Democrats are going to vote by mail versus Republicans. Why? Because Donald Trump is messaging to them, risk your lives no matter where you are and go stand in line and vote in person. And Democrats are saying, be safe, be careful, go ahead and vote by mail. It's secure. And, and Donald Trump is upending the Postal Service itself to slow down those ballots. He's telling his supporters not to vote by mail. We're telling our supporters to vote by mail. And what could and probably will happen is on the eve of the election, Donald Trump will declare victory with only 15% of all the votes counted. Okay? That's called the Red Mirage. As the votes get counted, the mail-ins get counted, because we know a larger percentage of Democrats plan to vote that way. All of a sudden it will flip and Biden is going to win. How do we know that? Well, the polling is severe in Biden's favor. It's not marginal. It's not. It's much, much, much greater than it was with Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. It's consistently been that way. We have polls now today. Yesterday was like Pollapalooza. A lot of polls came out yesterday. YouGov, Ipsos, a ton of polling came out yesterday. And in that polling, you can see that Americans are going for Joe Biden by like 10 percentage points. Biden is at 51. Donald Trump is at 43. On the question of who will keep you safe from harm, Biden wins 51-45. Who is more honest? Biden wins 53-36. On shares my values, Biden wins 52-39. Are you safer in America today, as you know, versus 4 years ago? Biden takes he takes it away. Okay, so all right, I'm just going to play some of the polls.
In our national poll, John, it is pretty fascinating when you look at the different slices of the electorate. Look at independents here and how Biden is crushing Trump. You see that middle line there, 51% to 37%. That's a 14-point advantage for Biden with a group Donald Trump won in 2016. Take a look at the gender divide. 20-point advantage among female voters for Joe Biden, 57% to 37%. Among men, it's a 4-point race. They're near even. Trump 48, Biden 44. Look at race. It's actually a similar story. Among people of color, you have Biden at 59%, Trump at 31%. That's a 28-point advantage there. But when you look at white voters, it's basically tied. Biden 49, Trump 47. So if Biden's running up the score with women and running up the score with people of color, Donald Trump needs to do the same with whites and men. But what's happening is they're battling it out to a near tie. That's a problem for Donald Trump.
David, how does it break down on the issues?
You know, Joe Biden, Allison, has an advantage on nearly every issue we tested here. Racial inequality, big Biden advantage, healthcare, foreign policy, coronavirus, all double-digit advantage there. On criminal justice, he's got a 7-point edge. On helping the middle class, he's got a 7-point edge. And on the economy, it is now basically a tie. This has been a Donald Trump strong suit for much of the campaign, and now it is basically tied.
So what we're facing is a period of 14 days between November 3rd and December 14th. And why December 14th? Because that is the day. You know, when you go vote, you're not voting for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. You're voting for their electors, their slate of electors. That slate of electors actually casts their vote for the candidate that the state chose by a majority on December 14th. So between November 3rd and December 14th, where if Donald Trump does what Donald Trump does and lies and claims victory November 3rd before the ballots are really counted, how we undo that perception is it's like Bill Barr did that with the Mueller report. He lied about it. He mischaracterized it. He said there was no obstruction of justice in it, and there were 10 instances of obstruction of justice. He made it seem as if Mueller was investigating a counterintelligence issue. Mueller was not. He was told by Rod Rosenstein that he could not look at a counterintelligence issue of Russian meddling. He could only look at criminal activity. And still, Donald Trump ended up being an unindicted co-conspirator in that report. But all that aside, if Donald Trump is true to type and Donald Trump does what Donald Trump does, he's going to lie and he's going to say he won, and Bill Barr is going to defend him. That is why that interview was so important yesterday, because we needed to know if the Attorney General of the United States really considers the American people his client, which is normal, that's the way it's supposed to be, or does he consider the President of the United States his client? And clearly he considers the President of the United States his client in violation of his oath and his job description. And so Free Speech TV will do election coverage, and it's going to be a long haul from what I can tell. So we're starting our summer fundraiser today. All you need to do is dial 877-378-8669 and make a donation. If you do, or go to freespeech.org, freespeech.org, or freespeech.org/donate, because you will be supporting our election coverage. So thank you.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Never in American history have politicians been more powerful than they are now. Effectively, they are gods.
I am the chosen one.
News organizations exist to hold the powerful to account. Here we have the powerful acting with no accountability at all.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
And our news media, they are cheering it on, besotted fangirls.
God sent this president. He is a person of providence.
No abuse is too grotesque for them. No talking point is too stupid to repeat. Reporters will do whatever they are told. They are all in.
Hydroxychloroquine.
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 Totalitarianism does not shock us anymore. Maybe that's because all of a sudden, it's all around us.
Nobody disobeys my orders. Well, I have the ultimate authority.
The conclusion can't be avoided. These people actually hate America. There's no longer a question about that. And yet, paradoxically, at the same time, they desperately want to control America more than anything.
Really, I am the chosen one.
Oh boy, that didn't turn out well for Tucker, did it? No.
I can only hope there's maggots out there that see that and don't understand it's a mashup and think that Tucker was talking about their cult leader.
About what?
About Trump himself.
They were talking. He was actually being shown to be the lying hypocrite that he is, saying that it's the Democrats that are doing it, and obviously it's Donald Trump who's the autocrat here. Donald Trump is the one that's creating fascism. Donald Trump is the one that says nobody disobeys my orders. I am the chosen one. Lou Dobbs sitting on the TV saying he was sent by God. I don't.
Well, I'm just saying Tucker wasn't actually talking about Trump. It's a mashup. So what he's saying.
No, it's.
You think that's Tucker saying that Trump is.
No.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. And I'm hoping that somebody who's a Trump supporter sees that and thinks that Tucker's actually talking about...
Why would you want that?
Because it would upset them that Tucker's talking about their leader like this. I'm hoping they misunderstand.
Oh, my God. It's just so blatant in your face that what they say we're doing is exactly what they are aiming for. And that is a fascist autocrat in charge, a strongman, a demagogue. And they have been accusing Democrats of doing exactly what they're doing for the longest time. Even the argument that the violence is only in Democrat-run cities. That is not true either. Tulsa, Oklahoma is riddled with crime, and it's run by a Republican. Miami. Welcome to Miami. Miami is run by a Republican, and it has an enormous amount of crime. Why? Crime, gun crime especially, is increasing because the services that used to be available to young people, the jobs that used to be available to people are no longer there. People are turning to crime. And it's happening in all places, Democratic cities, Republican cities. Donald Trump is lying about that too.
The top 10 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrats. The 20 most dangerous are Democrat run. Worse than Honduras, worse than Afghanistan,
The reality check. Homicide rates are up in many cities run by both Democrats and Republicans. Up 13% in Republican-led Miami. Up 34% in Democrat-led New York. Up 29% in Republican-run Tulsa through June. Up 31% in Democrat-led Phoenix through July. In Republican-led Fort Worth, police report a 50% increase in homicides just this year.
We got challenges just as well as other large and small metropolitan areas. We're doing the best that we can with the resources that we have.
In Democrat-led Oakland, a 26% increase.
Cities across this country, major city chiefs, are saying the exact same thing. The amount of guns, the amount of gun crime, the significant increases.
Crime experts say the pandemic and economic fallout are big factors in driving the murder rate higher.
Duh. They live in an alternative universe where they accuse us of doing exactly what they're doing. And if something is happening equally across this country because a president failed at controlling a virus that Europe has been able to control, that Japan has been able to control, that China has been able to control, that South Korea has been able to control. No one's got the kind of death or infection rate that the United States has. It is causing an economic disaster in this country. It is causing hardship and hunger. I mean, you got the workers who keep America fed going hungry. That's amazing to say, but it's true. Because of COVID, because of the president's, it'll miraculously go away. Hydroxychloroquine, take it, take it. And now the thing with plasma, with convalescent plasma, the FDA had to walk that back, saying there is no evidence that it does work. There's also no evidence that it doesn't work. But they shouldn't have given it an emergency use authorization because it didn't meet the criteria. Same thing's happening with this vaccine. He's going to come down the escalator, with Melania, with a syringe in his hand, okay, on November 1st. And he's going to tell you, there it is. There's the miracle he promised. And people will fall for it. This is so freaky and scary. So you're going to have a lot. And he's telling states, get ready to administer vaccines. Get ready to inject people. And we don't have 30,000 people being monitored to see if they got saline solution or if they got the vaccine, to know if the people who got the vaccine don't get infected and the people who got the saline do. And until we know that, we don't know if it's effective. We have no idea. This is such a bizarre world, and it's all because Donald Trump is a dictator, a tin pot dictator. He is a fraud and a criminal who will die in jail if he's not the president of the United States. And the bigger pot, the bigger prize, is trillions of dollars to be sucked right out of this country, sucked right out of senior citizens. Todd in Cleveland.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
That's good. I just want to pretty much talk about whatever you was talking about because I'm a black male in Cleveland, Ohio, and I pretty much know about all of that. Would it be anything you would like to ask me?
Yes. What is your experience with police and let's say not signaling or being followed in a store or trying to get health insurance? What's your experience in America? Do you think it's the same experience I've had?
No, of course not. But I'll go ahead and give you two scenarios that can just right on the top of my head. I drive for a living, and I was going to work. I stopped at the red light. The cop was sitting at the green light. The light turned red for him and green for me. I started to move through it. He pulled behind me, threw his flashers on, said I ran the light. I kind of, I wasn't feeling black at that time because I was in my work uniform. So I told him clearly what he had did, and he let me go that time. But then I say maybe a month later, I was coming out of a Circle K gas station. And the cop was pulled up, and he got out his car. And he wasn't a Cleveland officer. He was a Lakewood officer. We know as black folks don't go to Lakewood unless, we really just don't go there and drive. So then he came, and he was going to the Circle K. I looked at him, I waved, and then I went to get to my expensive vehicle. He looked at me, and before I can get my coffee that I just purchased in my cup holder and pull out the driveway, he pulled up behind me. I said I wasn't speeding. I'm in uniform. So I turned onto the street, and then the cop threw on the siren, and I asked him what he pulled me over for. He didn't want to say at first, but then he's going to say it was a purse robbery and the type of car that I had. And I'm looking like, wow, I just got off work. How did I have time to rob somebody?
Were you scared?
Was I scared? He called 4 police cars.
Oh, my God.
They threatened to tase me, yank me out my car, and arrested me. I was in jail for 12 hours.
Oh, my God. Happy Labor Day.